So we're in a series called What an Offense Needs to Attack a Defense, and this is 13-8. And then this topic is, what if you can't handle 6 at the line of scrimmage in the A gaps? So if you look at this formation, which is pretty generic now in football, which is double set, 2 wide receivers on each side and a running back in the backfield, you'll see that a lot of times people will put 6 guys to rush that formation. And one of the reasons they do that is that they can't be wrong. If you run a running play, they have pretty much every gap covered and they're being aggressive coming after that running play. Or if you run a pass play, they're able to have a strong pass rush against that. So they've got 6 rushers, 5 in coverage, which is man free. And what do you do when you see that? You have to have an answer for it. So take a look now at when I first encountered this in my offense when I was coaching, and see what happened. What you saw weren't missed assignments. You saw people that ran free through our line of scrimmage. You saw our linemen have a difficult time with these speed rushers that were coming. You also saw times where they stood everybody up and our linemen had difficulty picking out who they were supposed to block and not supposed to block. So what you saw was we didn't have a concrete, absolute plan for when they put 6 people in the line of scrimmage and they all came. And so as a result of that, and watching the video and coming up with what would fit our scheme, we came up with a specific plan to block this front. Some people would call this double bullets, and they do that. They call it double bullets because the linebackers, these linebackers, they act as bullets, meaning they're just going to fire as soon as the ball snapped in the A gap and make you declare how you're going to handle that. Okay? So we came up with a specific plan that our linemen, our quarterback, and everybody knew what plays we were going to run and how we were going to block this particular front when they put up there these double bullets up there, or they put any 6-man front up there and play man coverage behind it. And this is what happened when we did that. So the specific plan that we came up with, we gave a name to, and we called it 6 guns. And what we said is, it's like they're a cowboy in the Old West, and they're pulling out their 2 6-shooters, and they're coming to get us. So we made a 6 guns call. And what that told the linemen is, we were going to leave the last person at the end of the line of scrimmage for the quarterback. So that was going to be his man. And everybody would block one guy to the left. Now we chose to leave the guy on the right free because we had a right-handed quarterback, okay? If I was going to do this, and the reason we did that is when he drops back, that's where his vision is, and he can see that particular rusher. And so he can take care of that rusher because he can see him. If I had a left-handed quarterback, then we would go the other way and we would leave the other guy free. So I always leave, if I have a left or right-handed quarterback, the end man on the line of scrimmage to the side where he's going to be able to see. Okay? So we called 6 guns, and that's how we block that. In some of the clips you saw, these guys were all standing up. And so if that happened, he would just take a step and he'd block the B gap, he'd block the A gap, he'd block the left A gap. He's going to block this B gap, and he's going to block that gap. So even if they're standing up and they stun it or twist it or anything like that, if he came around and he went this way, they knew that they just stayed tall in their gap and picked up whoever came that way when you saw those guys were standing up. So when we saw this double bullet alignment, or 2 linebackers in the A gap, or even if it wasn't 2 linebackers in the A gap, if the linemen came up and they counted 6 people, they made the 6 gun call. We did not have the quarterback do that. We allowed him to look at the coverage, look at what play we had called. If we had a pass play called, he was looking at the defender he needed to read, and the linemen are the ones that called this. So the linemen always counted the number of people in the box, and it was the offensive lineman that made this 6 gun call. And the reason I wanted to do that is they made it loud enough the quarterback could hear. So if I'm the quarterback and I hear 6 guns, I know that there's 6 people in the box, and I have the last man on the line of scrimmage. It could be a defensive end, or it could be a stand-up linebacker, or whomever that may be. But he could simply hear that. If there was only 5 people in the box, okay, then we would just call that, 5 guys. And I don't know if you're familiar with the chain 5 Guys Hamburgers, but that's where we got that from. So they would call 5 guys if there's only 5 guys. So every time the quarterback came to the line of scrimmage, these linemen were counting the people that were in there, and he was listening to whether it was 5 guys or 6 guns. And then that keyed him as to what he would do with regard to what the play call was. We had specific plays that we would run against this front. And we had one particular run play that we would run when we came up to the line of scrimmage and saw these 6 guys at the line of scrimmage, and then we would make our 6 guns call, and we would know that we're going to leave this guy free for the quarterback. And the run play that we would run is we would run inside zone. And our mentality was, you only have one defender in the back there, and if we could break this line of scrimmage and get our back one-on-one with that defender, we wanted to do that. So we would make a 6 guns call. Our lineman would fire out. They would know exactly that they blocked a man on their left. He would shuffle over, and he's heading downhill, and he's looking for whatever seam he can find to get in there. We always head down the midline. Always head down the midline to give him an opportunity that he could even go bounce to the left or to the right. But that back would head to the midline and find a seam that he could get through and pop through. He knew in this particular instance that he wasn't going to dance. He's going to find a little seam, put his shoulders down, and get downhill, try to come out the other side as fast as he can. Because he knew if he did, he'd be one-on-one with a DB, if that DB was in the right position. So our run play versus this was inside zone, and it fit perfect with our 6 guns call because everybody was already blocking when we knew that they're to the left. That also is our pass protection. So you really couldn't tell whether it was run or pass by our linemen because there was the same hat. And you know that a lot of times the linemen will read high or low hat. Well, they weren't getting that when we made a 6-gun call. We were fired out, getting our hands in our face mask in their numbers and getting our hands on their breastplate, and we were going to be aggressive with that to let them know that we knew how to take care of this 6 bullets, this 6 guys coming, this double bullet look, or however you wanted to do that was what we would do. And that's the run play that we would run against this particular look. The other thing you want to consider when you get this look, and if you're going to run a pass play, is you want to release the running back. So one of the things I always teach the quarterback is when we come to the line of scrimmage, and those of you that have followed me, you understand that my offense is called the 5 wide. And the reason it's called the 5 wide is we always send 5 guys out no matter what in our passes. Okay? And we do that because we want to dictate the numbers to the defense, and this is a classic example of how I do that. In this particular instance, when they've got double bullets and we're going to make a 6 guns call, right? So they're all going to block the people to their left. Well, the question is who's going to take the running back? Because they're man-to-man, and this safety technically should take the running back, or in this particular instance, it's either the end or the Sam linebacker that's got to take the running back. So if we release the running back on just a simple swing route, no matter what the other combinations are, and this defensive end doesn't go with the running back, then he's wide open. As I've told you, the quarterback is right-handed, so he has a clear vision of this end. If he sees the end run up the field to take him, he simply dumps the ball to running back, and basically what we're playing is option off of the defensive end. Okay? He can see him, he just turns and throws it to him. So instead of running down the line and pitching it to him, he's just going to turn and throw it to him because somebody has to cover the running back. So when we see this, as I mentioned earlier, we'll run inside zone to try to break it, but we'll also release the running back and make one of their defenders get out of their front, get out of their 6 guns being effective, and go cover the running back. And if they don't, we'll just throw it to the running back the whole time. So how do we handle this particular double bullets when we have 6 people that are aligned in our gaps and they're all coming? How do we handle that if we want to pass? Okay, well, I just mentioned that we can release the running back and that gets it into our pass game. But the best thing to do for the quarterback, but particularly for the offensive lineman, is to take the back out and go to empty. Because now they have to decide, if they want to continue to rush 6, then they have to take the free safety or somebody and bring him down to play man across the board and really go cover 0, all right? And when they're doing that, what we're saying is, our 5 guys, you don't have 5 good enough defenders to be able to cover them man to man. and we know that we could pick one out. For example, this will linebacker on our A or slot receiver running a fade, an out, a hitch, any of those routes by any of these receivers, we can run and get the ball out quick, because we're still going to do our protection, which is everybody going to the left, and that's the quarterback's man, okay? But they don't have any second level defenders right across the line of scrimmage. So we can do a stutter release and release any of these guys into that area and dump the ball to them. And that was a staple of what we would do against people who predominantly wanted to line up in this particular look, or they stood all 6 guys up. So we really didn't care how you wanted to do that. We could get into empty, stay in empty and run our offense, and we could throw shallow crosses or slant routes across the middle to any of these defenders and have the opportunity for them to catch and run, because people would be chasing them. I did a previous video on why every offense should have an empty formation. And one of the reasons is for this double bullet look, where they have both linebackers inside trying to rush 6-on-5, okay? Because what had happened when we had executed our plan against that is they would take one of the linebackers out and they would now play cover 1, and we would get 5-on-5 in the box. And that's one of the biggest advantages of going into an empty formation, is you're going to make them decide. And defensive coordinators, they will back down from going cover 0, because they know that you might run a fade with any of these 5 guys, and they know that they don't have 5 that they've trained continually to cover man-to-man, okay? So we can pick out the mismatch that we want there, and we can get whoever we want on a nice little seam route or a fade route, and they're going to give up a big play. Even when there's only one safety, which one is he going to pick to cover? Because in my offense, all of these guys, this is the X, the A, the B, the Z, and the W. And if the B and the A are running backs, we don't do running back drills. Taking a handoff is something I believe that's easy to coach. They all do receiver drills. So if these are running backs, they all do receiver drills every day to specifically enable us to get a running back on linebackers, okay? We also have formations where we can invert these, and we can put our X here and our running back on the outside. And we can take the 2 running backs and put them on the outside and get the 2 receivers on the linebackers. So we have the ability in empty to do that, and that forces them to get out of this box, and really it should force them to play 2 safeties. So by using empty, you've been able to do that. Now, this formation as empty is not as good as if you're not going to commit to throwing slant, hitch, out, and seam. Or if you want to call that a fade, that's just a longer throw to seam. We threw the slants, we threw hitches, we threw speed outs. We practiced those pretty much year round. In the off season, we threw this route tree, and in the in-season we threw this every day. So we were really good at that. And what we found was when we went empty, these guys wouldn't play press man. They'd back up a little bit. We could always find somebody who would back up and allow us to just throw and catch these routes. Slant, hitch, the out, and the seam or the fade. So we were able in our pass game to get in a formation and be able to take care of and get them out of that double bullet look, which put pressure on us. But we had a specific plan, run and pass, to handle that. We could also, when we had the running backs in their slot formations, we could take this running back, run him in, and still run our inside zone. So we didn't have to have a lot of plays. We had plays that we knew we would run against their particular double bullet formation, and we had a formation that we felt we can get into, and we could out-execute them. Because we felt like that when they played us, they were doing something different with regard to that. So this was the plan that we had to be able to handle that double pull-ups or that 6 at the line of scrimmage in the A-gaps.